Hello everyone. I hope you'll forgive me for doing a quick video not on Sanskrit itself, but on something Sanskrit adjacent. Namely, I would like to briefly talk about AI, generative AI, LLMs, large language models, whatever we call it, and the way in which we use them. Leaving aside any moral and environmental issues, the environmental issues being that AI and the data centers needed to run these various AI systems use up lots and lots of energy, as well as lots of actually drinking quality water, a rather valuable resource. And the moral issue that these large language models were all trained on the work of actual human beings, without these human beings ever being asked for their permission or remunerated for the use of their work. If we leave aside moral and environmental concerns, I think there are good and there are bad ways of using AI. And I would even go as far as saying there are dangerous ways of using AI. Now, what do I mean by that? Just yesterday, I came across two instances of bad/dangerous use of AI that made me make this video today. And the first was, I was searching online for a construction called the accusative and infinitive. I was hoping for a website that would give me a couple of examples of this construction, which is something that is used in Latin and also ancient Greek literature. And I was hoping to then use some of these examples as part of an argument I was trying to make. And one of the first hits I got in my search for the accusative and infinitive was for a website called Grokkipedia, which is basically Elon Musk's attempt at replacing Wikipedia with a similarly named website that, however, is generated, or whose content is generated by AI. Grok is Elon Musk's personal AI. And what I saw was mind-boggling, and I just want to show it to you. So this is the paragraph on the historical origins of the accusative and infinitive, and I'll just quickly read just that first paragraph. The accusative and infinitive, ACI, construction has its roots in the case system and verbal morphology of Proto-Indo-European, PIE, where infinitives likely originated as case forms of verbal nouns, including accusative and dative variants, used in complement clauses around 2000 BCE. These early forms evolved from ablaut patterns and nominal case endings that allowed verbal nouns to function adverbially or as objects, setting the stage for subject-accusative marking in embedded structures. In PIE, such constructions facilitated purpose or result clauses, with the accusative signaling direct involvement akin to an object, a feature that persisted and specialized in daughter languages. And they give you, as a reference, a very, very reputable website created by humans who know what they're talking about. Now, if you don't know about the accusative and infinitive or its origins, which is actually a really fun topic that I will make a video about at some point, if you don't know about this, I would argue that this likely sounds very convincing. This Grok uses all the right technical terminology: ablaut patterns, accusative and dative variants of infinitives, accusative marking, subject-accusative marking in embedded structures, and so on and so on. So it sounds as though it really knows what it's talking about. And it's even giving you information, that's sort of extra. So it's saying that this probably happened around 2000 BCE. This level of detail, if I got this in a reply from a human being, I would expect that this human being knows what they're talking about, that they're quite, secure in their knowledge. And that's why they can give me an answer that is so detailed and includes so much extra information that I wasn't even asking about. If you know about accusative and infinitives, you'll realize that this is very, very convincing sounding hogwash. It mentions lots of things that are a thing in Indo-European linguistics, but that are completely irrelevant, that are completely beside the point here, that have nothing to do with how the accusative and infinitive construction developed. Or if you're being extremely charitable, you could say that, well, maybe, it's meant well, but it obviously didn't quite get what the point was. But if you don't know about this, you would assume that, oh wow, this AI created article, this AI created entry knows what it's talking about. It sounds really trustworthy. And I thought, well, but who in their right mind would use Grokkipedia over Wikipedia or an actual, for example, academic website that is created by people who know what they're talking about? But then I got an email from a colleague whom I very much respect, who's a great academic, whose work is really, really interesting, cautious, intelligent, rigorous, everything that you want academic work to be. And and this is going to make me sound really, really petty, he was sending around Christmas greetings in a number of languages. And he said at the bottom, sorry, I don't know whether the Sanskrit greeting is correct, I just trusted what the AI told me. And the Sanskrit was indeed phenomenally wrong. I know, it's just a Christmas greeting, it doesn't really matter. But what it showed me is that even senior, experienced, high quality, top academics, I don't know what other adjective to give them, apparently don't know about the problems with AI, which are that if you ask it about something where you don't know what you want the answer to be, where you're not already an expert, you have no way of telling what it gives you is right or just really convincing. And also, apparently, he trusted AI rather than just Googling. There are websites created by humans who know what they're talking about, where you have the sort of generally used phrase for Merry Christmas in Sanskrit. No, he trusted an AI over an actual internet search, using Google, DuckDuckGo, Ecosia, whatever search engine you prefer. And so this is why I am now saying to everyone who wants to listen, there are good and there are bad ways of using AI. Bad way of using AI is asking it for information that you don't already know. Because if you do that, you have no way, not a snowball's chance in hell, to tell whether what it gives you is right or just convincing. But the good way of using AI, if we leave aside moral and environmental issues, is when you know what you want the output to be, and when it takes you less time to fiddle with the output, to polish it, to correct it, than it would take you to create the output yourself. For example, a friend of mine has the paid-for version of Claude for her job. She gets it from her employer, and she uses it kind of as an admin assistant. So she has it write emails for her. We all know writing emails takes ages. She tells it what she wants to have in the email. She gets an email from it. She knows what the email should look like, and then she goes through the result, fiddles with whatever isn't right, and sends the email off. And it takes her much less time than it would to write this email and all the other emails herself. I personally use it to create vocab commentaries. Whenever I read texts with students, especially at the sort of lower intermediate level, then these students usually don't have a big vocabulary knowledge yet. And so I want to give them a way of looking up the words that they encounter in the text we're reading in a way that's quick and easy. I don't want them to have to go to a dictionary and look up each word in some other place. I want them to be able to just look at the side, look at their vocab list and go, oh, this is that, this is that, this is that, and then use that knowledge to help them translate whatever sentence they're looking at. And I personally use DeepSeek. It works best for me. I'm not being paid by them or anything. And I tell it, this is the information that I want for each word. This is how I want it formatted. And then I usually have to fiddle with it, have to tell it, no, I asked for this, not that, a couple of times. And then once it's understood what I want, it creates a list that is a huge help for me because their list is 75%-ish right and 75% really convincing sounding nonsense. But it takes me a lot less time to correct those 25% nonsense so that I can give my students something that is actually correct and helpful than it would take me to create that vocab commentary myself. So that, I think, for me at least, is a good use of AI, a safe use of AI. I know many people use AI to write code for them. A friend of mine who writes, who codes on a rather high sophisticated level, far beyond my level of comprehension, says that he actually finds it a lot easier to write the code himself, or a lot less time consuming to write the code himself than to ask an AI to write it for him and then debug it. So the debugging would take him a lot longer than writing the code himself. Okay, he's experienced at what he does, but I also thought that was an interesting perspective. So to cut a long story short, don't trust an AI with information where you don't already know what is right and what is wrong, because its answers sound like those of a human being who has wide knowledge around the specific thing you asked them, gives you lots of details, gives you lots of surrounding extra information that a human would only ever give you if they knew what they were talking about. AI does not know what it's talking about. Use AI if you know what you want the output to be, and if it takes you less time to polish the output, to make the output usable and correct, than it would to create that output yourself. Thank you so very much for watching, and I hope you have a very good rest of your day.